Who else is tired of these 30-second weekends? Can I get an amen?
Ooh, yeah.
Hello from my side of the screen. I'm Leah Mojo, and welcome back to my channel where I retell stories of the Bible while putting my makeup on. And if you're new here, you probably didn't know this, but the series has a name. It's called Cosmetic Creed, and we are on episode 10 today. Wow, time flies. But I just popped a Benadryl and I am ready to story tell. That was weird. I probably won't do that again. If you're ever interested to know which products I use on my face, I always list them in the description box below. And if you're interested to know where I purchased my personal study Bible from, I also list that in the description box as well. So grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfy. But first, disclaimer. I am not a pastor, nor theologian, nor historian. I am simply a lover of Jesus and makeup. That's it. I encourage you to read the good book for yourself. If you have any questions or doubts, that just makes you human. Not here to change anyone's opinions, but I do hope that this series is life-giving and opens us all up to exploring and stretching our individual faiths whilst encouraging us to think outside of ourselves. Cool? I bet. Let's get into it. Okay, so last week we left off at the end of Genesis chapter 31. So now Jacob has two wives, Rachel and Leah, and a boatload of children. So today's story is going to pick up in chapter 32. Remember, Laban has just left and returned to his home, and now Jacob and his crew are returning back to his homeland, or the homeland of his fathers. Now, a couple chapters back, remember, before Jacob left to pursue a wife, he was kind of sent away by his parents, Rebecca and Isaac, mainly to find a wife. Yes, yes. But there was also another reason, okay? His brother Esau wanted to kill him for stealing his birthright, okay? You remember that? Well, Jacob remembers that too, as he's traveling back to his homeland. He knows that Esau is there, and he's kind of shook. My man's is a little scared, okay? He's a little scared to return home. He knows what's waiting for him back at home, or at least he thinks he knows. Remember how angry Esau was when Jacob tricked him and deceived him into giving him his birthright and his blessing? Remember that? He was so angry that he vowed to kill Jacob, okay? So even though Jacob is heading home finally after spending 20 some odd years away from his homeland and away from his immediate family, he can't really be that happy. He's thinking that Esau is still harboring that death threat he made to him 20 some odd years prior, okay? So here, children, is where our story picks up. All right, so as Jacob and his crew are traveling back homeward, Jacob encounters some angels. And so he decides to name the area where he met the angels Mahanaim. I hope I'm saying that right. Pronunciation in the Old Testament is just one big old struggle bus, let's be honest. But anyway, Mahanaim means camp of God in Hebrew. Now, I don't necessarily know what meeting those angels has to do with the rest of the story, but I'm sure if it's in there, it's important. So just keep it in your back pocket or something. I don't know. But anyway, so he names the place Camp of God. And as he's continuing to travel, he's just really eating himself up over seeing Esau again. Like, he's really stressed out about it. So he makes a decision to send some of his messengers ahead of him, like to the homeland that he's going to deliver a message to Esau before Jacob even gets there. Butter him up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully this gift will take the edge off. Please accept this offering after 20 some odd years of harboring a death wish against me, twin brother. So he tells the messengers, okay, here's what you have to say to my brother. Dearest brother, hello, how are you? It has been so long since we've had the pleasure of making each other's acquaintance. I have been with Uncle Laban all this time, and I've acquired riches and servants and livestock. Now I am sending this message to you, my lord, that I may again find favor in your eyes. I'm paraphrasing, but you get it. Also, I highly doubt that Jacob had a British accent. I'm just reading it that way because he addresses Esau as my lord. And how British is that? So the message gets delivered and the servants return to Jacob like, hey, look, so what happened was we told Esau what you wanted to say, and now he's coming here to meet you. Thing is, he got like 400 men with him.
Oh my God.
So needless to say, Jacob is terrified. Oh, he was shook. Terrified and stressed out, he divides his crew into 2 groups and was like, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the other group can get away. And then he decides to pray, because what else is there to do when you're about to lose your life? You know what I mean? And he says, Lord, I am so unworthy of your kindness.
This was way too light to put on. Why do I keep doing this to myself?
He's like, Lord, I am so unworthy of all the kindness that you have shown me over these years. Please save me from the wrath of my brother. For you were the one who told me that you would bless me and make my descendants as numerous as the stars. Can't do that if I'm dead, huh? So then he decides to send gifts to his brother Esau. You know, try to further ease this man's anger toward him, you know? So he sends him an assortment of male and female goats, camels, bulls, and donkeys, you know, a bunch of livestock. Basically a whole lot of dough back then. So he sends some of his servants off with these gifts for his brother. And he's like, y'all go on ahead of me. I'm gonna stay in the back, you know, the far back, the way back. Y'all go ahead. But when my brother meets you all and asks you who you belong to and who all these camels and livestock are from, tell him you belong to his servant Jacob. His servant. Heavy on the servant. Play that part up. And that the livestock is a gift from me to him. And that I'm coming behind you all to meet him. And you have to remember to say that I'm coming behind you all. Don't forget that part. See, Jacob's plan was to butter his brother up so he wouldn't kill him. So the servants and the gifts went ahead to meet Esau, but Jacob stayed behind with the rest of his camp. Okay, so that same night, Jacob sends his wives, his 2 female servants, aka his 2 other baby mamas, and his 12 kids to cross this river, kind of sending them on ahead as well.
Oh my God, I look so white. You gotta be kidding me.
So Jacob is alone at this point. And the next part was super strange because it literally just said that he ended up wrestling with a man. What? Now, the Bible does point out that this man is actually God in physical form. IDK if Jacob knew that, though. I doubt it. Like, he probably knew that he was divine in some way, but I don't think he knew that it was God he was wrestling with, you know? You know what I'm saying? Something tells me if he knew, don't think he would have kept up. You know what I mean? But like, how did we actually get here though? Like, in reading it, I was so confused because I was just like, wait, what? Like, where did this man come from? Like, what happened? One minute you're sending off your wife and kids, and the next minute there's just some random man that tackles you from behind. I'm so confused. I don't know. I didn't write the book, okay? I'm just a storyteller. You got questions, so do I. You know what I mean? But we're here. Jacob is wrestling with God. And they wrestled all night long, which is also kind of weird. Like, if we're wrestling all night, just take what you want from me, homie. Like, I want to go to bed. But not Jacob. Jacob wrestled this man all night. And it says that the man injured the side of Jacob's hip and was like, bruh, let me go. The sun is coming up. But Jacob was like, no, not until you bless me. See, that's how I knew that Jacob must have known that he was some sort of divine being, but I still don't think he knew that it was God himself. So the man was just like, what's your name? And Jacob tells him. And the man responds, okay, so your name isn't Jacob anymore. It is now Israel, because you have wrestled with God and man, and you have won. And Jacob is just like, wait, what? Wait, what's your name? Who are you? But the man was like, why do you want to know? And he proceeded to bless him. So of course, then it hits Jacob that, oh my God, this was God. Hold on, let me do this off camera because it really just... So he names the place out of honor, Peniel or Peniel, meaning I have seen the face of God and lived. That's wild. And ever since that day, Jacob walked with a limp. Because remember, the man injured his hip. It's like proof of the wrestle match, you know? Injuries or it didn't happen. All right, so Jacob continues on his travels, every step closer, bringing him face to face with Esau. By the time he catches up with Leah and Rachel and the kids, he looks up to see 400 men coming his way, along with his brother Esau. So Jacob is probably like, frick! So he frantically splits the kids up among his wives and his 2 baby mama servants. And he puts the servant baby mamas and her sons in the front, Leah and her sons in the middle, and then Rachel and Joseph in the very back. Favoritism is real. He really said, these 2 right here, Rachel and Joseph, can't nothing happen to them. But after his family is settled in the assembly line of his choosing, he musters up all of his courage and walks up to Esau, bowing to him 7 times. I'm assuming this is just the custom of the day, like how you would greet royalty. Not something you normally reserved for siblings, but he wanted to live, so extra humility it is. And of course, in this moment, when Jacob is bowed over, he's probably sweating in his boots, thinking that Esau is just gonna slice his head off, you know what I mean? But then, something amazing happens. Esau runs towards Jacob and embraces him. Literally threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, crying. And then Jacob starts crying because, I mean, he probably feels a tsunami of relief. But this is some real long lost brother stuff going on here.
I still love you.
I mean, what a moment. So when they can all speak again after crying for who knows how long, Esau finally looks up and sees all of these people surrounding his brother Jacob. And he's just like, who are all these people? Who are these women and children? And Jacob is just like, they're my family. So his wives and his children bow down to Esau to greet him. And Esau is like, well, okay, but what's up with all these animals you sent me? And Jacob is just like, well, they're a gift from me. I just needed to know that you'd receive them. And Esau is just like, but I have plenty already. I don't need all this. But Jacob is just like, no. No, really. Take them. It's the least I can do. After all those years, you know. After what I've done. Now Esau sees how earnest his brother Jacob is and receives the gifts only because Jacob insists. Like, it's a really tender moment between brothers, I'm assuming. Like, I can see it in my head. Because Jacob knows the depth of the wound that he caused years earlier. So Esau accepts and he's like, all right, Jacob, let's go. Let's head out. Let's go back to father's homeland. I'll even walk with you and your family. Now, Jacob knew that his travel pace would be much slower because he had like super young livestock and he didn't want to make them move too fast because he knew that they would die trying to keep up with the older livestock that he had. But he also didn't want to inconvenience Esau or his men in moving back home at a slower pace. So he told Esau to go on ahead. But Esau was like, well, at least let me leave some of my men with you. You know what I mean? Just to make sure that you get there safe. Jacob is like, no, you go. I'll be fine. So Esau and his men go ahead back to their homes, while Jacob and his family slowly but surely finally make their way back to his father's homeland. This is a joyous moment, okay? It's been 20-something years. So he arrives safely back in the city of Shechem in Canaan with all of his kids and his baby mamas and his wives and his servants. And he decides to buy a plot of land there to pitch his tent. Hold on, I don't know why I always do this while I talk. Okay, so he decides to buy a plot of land there and pitch his tent. Basically, they moved back to the land of his father, and he buys this nice, comfy plot of land where he can build his house for him and his family to live. And it had to be huge because it had to accommodate all of his servants and all of his livestock. I mean, yay for a new house, right? But the biggest plus is that him and Esau have finally buried the hatchet and laid to rest a 20-year-old offense and are finally in each other's good graces again. I mean, what a cute story. What a happy ending. So this is where we're going to end today, folks, because the next chapters are just a whole different vibe than this very sweet, loving, happy ending. An ending of brotherly love and reconciliation. Oh yes, next week's story will be action-packed indeed, because a few years go by, okay? And those kids, they get older. And then begins their stories. So that about wraps up today's Bible story and this makeup look. Do you like it? It's mad cute. Giving me major spring and summer vibes. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I did. Be sure to like this video if you like this video and subscribe for more content. And follow me on Instagram because that's where I be at. And I'll see you soon for next week's story. Okay, love you. Bye.